There's a ice cream truck driving around my neighborhood, so it's kind of there. Stopped. Welcome back to Inside the PTC. I'm Record-Courier staff writer Colin Harris. In this week's edition, we've got some highlights from Field's heartbreaking loss to Minerva from last Friday, as well as a couple of looks at some big matchups in Week 3.
Josie Riley's pass intended for Dalton Portage is incomplete. The Falcons will take over downs, 1st and 10 from their own 22. Levi Loudon on the carry, stopped just short of the goal line. The Lions will take over 1st and 10 from inside their own 1-yard line. Weston Singer's pass is intercepted by Dalton Hartshorn and returned 55 yards for a long.
That's a very equal team to where we are. And at the end of the game, the Braves went their way, and they ended up winning. But I'll tell you what, that doesn't take away from the warrior-like effort that you guys put out here tonight. I know I'm going to watch film, and I'm going to dissect it, and I'm going to pick it apart, and I'm going to say I should have kicked the field goal, and I'm going to say we should have done other things. But the bottom line is that I believe in you guys. And if it comes down to it again, where you guys tell me, look, we want to get it in, we're going to get it in. That does not diminish anything for me for this team. It was a hot game tonight, and you guys played 4 quarters of tough ball. I don't know what to say, but this is going to take a long time to get over.
Two of Portage County's best teams meet up tonight when Ravenna travels to take on Aurora. Aurora comes into the game off of a 20-13 victory over Twinsburg, while Ravenna stumbled in Week 1 in a 26-3 loss to nearby Talmadge. These two teams are not strangers to each other, having met up last year at Ravenna, where the Green Men handed a 37-21 loss to the Ravens. Now, both teams eventually went on to make good postseason runs, so a loss in this game for either team does not necessarily spell doom, although I am very sure that Ravenna would not like to start the season out 0-2 if it has any say in the matter. I really think that Ravenna is better than the team that played against Talmadge on Friday. I don't know if it was just early season nerves, a lot of new players adjusting to new roles, or if Talmadge is just that good of a football team. But I do think that the Ravens are good, they will rebound, and I do expect them to make a playoff and a Metro Division run. That said, Aurora is really good. They're really, really, really good. They're going to make a playoff run. They're going to contend for their conference title. You might even see them in a state championship game. They're a very good, very well-coached football team, and I think they got the Ravens' number this week. Field and Southeast meet up tonight in a battle of former Metro Division and PCL rivals, now on opposite sides of the Portage Trail Conference. Both teams are coming into the game off of difficult losses, albeit for different reasons. Field had its chances in a 21-14 home loss to Minerva, while very little went right for Southeast in a 49-22 road loss to Alliance. There is another interesting thing to keep an eye on for this game, as former Mogador head coach Scott Pollock returns to the sidelines against Field for the first time in years. Pollock formerly coached Mogador, which is, as most people know, a heated backyard rival of the Falcons. This is a really interesting game, you guys. Field is coming into this game after a heartbreaking loss to Minerva, while Southeast is coming into this game after getting their doors blown off by Alliance. So both teams are obviously going to be looking to prove something and get back on the winning track. But the interesting thing about this game is to see that Scott Pollock is back on the sidelines as a head coach, and he's coaching against Field. You know anything about Field is that they don't like Mogador. Scott Pollock is a Mogador guy, won two state titles at Mogador as a head coach, and Field, they don't like that.
So it's going to be really interesting to see if, the kids at Field, I don't think the kids at Field harbor that kind of resentment towards Mogador as a traditional rival. But I know that the fan base really, really, really probably wants to see Field beat Scott Pollock more than maybe any other team on their schedule. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these two teams go up against each other. These two former Metro Division, former PCL rivals go up against each other.
Speaking of backyard rivals, two such programs meet up when Kent Roosevelt takes on the Stowe Bulldogs tonight. Stowe handed Roosevelt its only regular season loss last year, and one of the only Bulldogs wins, period, in what was a very weird game for both programs when you looked at the long-term picture. Expect another hard-fought matchup tonight when Stowe comes into town, or I guess it would be more appropriate to say crosses the borderline to get to Roosevelt Stadium.
This is another really interesting game. Last year, Stowe won 3 games, but one of them was against Kent Roosevelt. They beat a very, very, very good Kent Roosevelt playoff team with Trey Chapman at quarterback. All those weapons, Stowe beat them. These two teams are backyard rivals. It really doesn't matter who's better on paper, who's better in the win-loss column. I know that's a cliche, but these two teams, they're right next to each other. They put a lot of importance on this game, whether they'll admit it or not. Especially Stowe. Stowe wants to beat Kent Roosevelt. I'm not a Stowe writer, but I know that Roosevelt has had a lot of success over the last few years, and I'm sure Stowe got a lot of pleasure out of beating Kent Roosevelt last year, even though they only won 3 games. Having seen Kent against Tobin last Thursday, they're young and they're inexperienced. Monaco's a pretty good quarterback for the Rough Riders. He can make some plays with his feet. He doesn't make as many plays with his arm, but he's getting there. He made a couple of really, really big plays to keep drives alive for the Rough Riders on Thursday. He's only going to get more comfortable. I do think that Roosevelt learned a lesson from last year's Stowe game, and I do think that the Rough Riders are going to take this one. I think it's really important to them to keep this positive momentum going and to prove that this team is more than Evan Schminsky 3 years ago or Trey Chapman for the last 2 years, that this program is very good. And they can get to the playoffs without any of those established superstar names. Before we go, I want to try something different. It should be up here somewhere. My picks of the week. You'll see it in the paper on Friday morning, but I want to try to get them out a little early maybe. So tell me if you agree, if you disagree. Twitter me at RC Sports Now. Facebook, Colin Harris, Record-Courier, or email me at charris@recordpub.com, or just visit www.recordpub.com for more information on PTC football. I'm Colin Harris, and I will see you next week inside the PTC.